So to start with our breakout conversation on the Notre Dame defense in 2021, I think we're going to start with the what I would imagine is the most obvious choice that anyone that watched any Notre Dame games this season is going to look at and say,
Yeah.
yeah, that guy's going to break out for Notre Dame next year, and that is defensive end rising now junior. Man, these time's flying. Now rising junior defensive end Isaiah Foskey.
Yes. And again, if I was a betting man and I was going to rank these guys to where, I'm going to put my money on the guy that I feel the most confident in. So like a confidence pick,
Safest
if you will.
bet. Yeah.
Yes. Then it's Isaiah Foskey. There's no question about it. I mean, he's got the tools physically. I think when he's gotten his opportunity, he has shown, the faith in the coaching staff to get him on the field. And look, his opportunities were few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
But when he got on the field, he made plays. And with more of an opportunity, more plays are going to be made.
Mm-hmm.
I love his motor. I love his physical attributes. Can I say I love the fact that he wears number 7 as well?
It is the greatest. I mean, does this suck up to Brian Day? Because that is the greatest number ever.
Oh my God, I didn't even know you wore that number.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I wore it. John Elway wore it, and now Isaiah Foskey wore it. So
and there it is. So it is what it is. So. But no, I just love what he brings to the table. I think he's going to be a starter this year. And just because he's going from a semi-rotational player to a starter, that immediately puts him into this category as a solid starter. But I think that his ceiling is even higher in 21 and then even higher in 22. But I think in 21, he has the potential to be better than just a solid starter. I think he's going to be a breakout player.
I agree. I think when you look at what he did this year, let's look at the career trajectory of Isaiah Foskey. Number one, when he first got on the recruiting radar with most teams, it was as a tight end. Yeah. That was the position everybody looked at. He was more advanced in high school as a tight end. It really wasn't until his senior year that he started to become a more impactful defensive player. Notre Dame was actually one of the few schools that recruited him to play defense, and they convinced him that was where his future is, which I agree with. And so he came to Notre Dame very raw, still learning the position, played 4 games as a freshman and did some nice things. He had that block punt against Stanford late in the year, showed that potential. But the first thing you see even before then was this is a kid who's got the frame of what you look for in an elite defensive end. He is 6'5", 250, really broad shoulders, extremely long arms, athletic. And then this year you started to see that flash. And the reason, I actually thought he got a decent number of snaps this year. I just, you're not going to play him 40 snaps a game when the guy in front of him is Dalen Hayes,
Right, exactly.
But they found a niche for him as a pass rusher. I thought they could have probably used him a little bit more on third down. But you could still see he was still learning the position in a lot of ways. But man, when he got his chances to play, he was really good. And I think that for him in 2020, it was a lot like you and I talked about with Kyle Hamilton in 2019. Like the staff did not put him in a lot of situations where he was going to fail.
Right, exactly.
They protected him to a degree, which I think was smart.
That's good coaching.
Smart coaching, yes.
Good coaching.
He's not a guy you want playing 75% of the run snaps. He's a guy you want being able to be disruptive off the edge. And I thought that Coach Elson did a really good job of finding those opportunities for Isaiah to get into the game and find success. And he was, I think, tied for second on the defense with 4.5 sacks.
Yeah,
with way fewer snaps than what anybody, with those other guys got. So to me, when you look at Isaiah Foskey, he's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the athleticism. That burst at that size is impressive. His closing speed is outstanding, and I think he's going to be used more as a true edge rusher this year, and not as much as a drop player as we saw with Dalen Hayes. So I think we're going to see him if he did 4.5 sacks as a rotational guy, what's he going to do as a full-time player?
And he was only really
the way I look at it.
And he was only like a part-time rotational player too. He got on the field, but.
Yeah, because Ovi Agofu played some. He was part of that rotation. Yeah, he was going to get you 20 to 25 snaps at the most a game. It wasn't, like the rotation of Akwara and Hayes in past years.
Right, exactly.
Where it was almost a 50-50 because, again, Dalen Hayes is far more advanced than Isaiah Foskey was from an assignment standpoint. So I'm not surprised by it. But I was impressed with what he does. And I think now that he transitions into where it's basically he's going to have to not play well to start, I think he's going to be big time. And to your point, Vince, I don't think he's just going to be a good, solid player. I think he's going to be a guy that people are talking about outside of Notre Dame circles by the end of the year as well.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't teach the things that he has. And from everything I've heard, he puts into work. I mean, he's going to put into work, so that's not an issue either. So I think Isaiah Foskey as a breakout player in Notre Dame is an absolute no-brainer. At the very least, like you said, he's going to be a solid starter.
Right.
But we both think he's going to be even more than that. And the track record is that's what happens. Guys leave, and another defensive lineman steps in and is just as good, if not better. I mean, I think, Ogundeji steps in and his production was better than what Khalid Kareem did, So, I mean, that's just kind of what we've seen happen.
Yeah, and like you said, this was the no-brainer of the day for both of us. And it was okay. You got Isaiah Foskey. Yep. Okay. Who else you got? Like
we didn't even spend time talking about. Yeah, of course.
No, absolutely.
I actually had that written down before you started giving me your list. I had Foskey written down. I know we may have to have conversation about the future of our podcast if Vince didn't have Isaiah Foskey on his list.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Yeah.
But I had faith in you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There's always one out there.